So, Toddler-Nort is the thing that I wasn't expecting to see this morning.
Make
Make more
more
Xehanorts?
Xehanorts?
Um, I, I, I gotta talk. I realize it's only like 30 seconds of a 12-minute video, but I gotta talk because I've got like theories and shit like from 30 seconds. And listen, I'm losing my goddamn mind. All right, I I can't. I'm depressed. And this is the only thing giving me serotonin, okay? So I'm gonna ramble about some theories that I had from the video, the recap video for the Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary. So mainly about the Dark Road bit, because Toddler Nort make more Xehanorts. Um, so we see Toddler Nort and the guy in the blue robe that was seen at the end of Union Cross on Destiny Islands, just chilling by the fire, and the old man is like cradling like Toddler Nort because he's like sleepy little boy, and he says, oh gosh, hold on, let me. he says like perhaps it's time to basically like telling you like the rest of the story, right? And that part's not particularly interesting to me. What is interesting to me is the little bits of the island that we see, that I again, I know this is just like 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, 5 seconds of a fucking 12-minute video, but it, I'm losing my goddamn mind. So, first of all, it has been pointed out by Damo279 that the shack in Destiny Islands, on the island that we play on in Kingdom Hearts 1, has a table and a candle in it. So it is very possible that old robed guy and baby Nort lived in this shack, which is really interesting considering we know for a fact that there's a whole ass main island. So why is robed guy and baby Nort out here on the smaller island, apparently living in the shack? So that tells us something interesting, that one, maybe they're trying to be isolated from everybody else on the islands. If the main island is populated at this point. So like, why is Xehanort being isolated? Why was Xehanort taking from his mom and Scala at Kylum in the first place? Right? What is it about this island? Why was Xehanort put here? But assuming that Xehanort's trying to be hidden, the thing is that we know for a fact that children play on this island. We see Xehanort, when he grows up, come out here. We see Sora, Riku, Kairi, Selphie, Tidus, and Waka all come out here. We see the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3, there's a whole big ass beach party here, right? So this island is not far enough away from the mainland, and we know that at least in the times of Birth by Sleep, it would be like kids would play on that island. So this begs the question is, do they hide when nobody's around if there's anybody there? I don't think Destiny Islands is populated in this moment in time where Baby Nort is here, and that's very fascinating. Like, oh yeah, in Dark Road they had said like certain like worlds took a long time to like, that like some of them weren't full of people, so they weren't fully restored yet. Is Destiny Islands must be like one of the last worlds to get like populated. But that begs the question, like, where did they come from, right? So I'm going under the assumption here that oh my god, I'm going under the assumption here that Destiny Islands is not populated with people, that the old man in the robe and Baby Nort here are the only people on this island, which is insane to think about, because that means that this island truly is a prison for Xehanort. He can't leave, there's nobody else fucking there, and as we see later, the old man dies. Like, right behind Xehanort. Like, you're obviously fucked. Your father figure is, like, dying behind you? Did you not notice that? I'm losing my fucking mind. So if Destiny Islands is not populated at this point, then Xehanort grew up on a world that was completely devoid of people. But at some point, Destiny Islands got populated with people. Whether it was the people that lived there before or not, who knows? I do have a theory, but I will get back to that. So the man in the blue robe, who the fuck is this person? It might not be a man. I'm assuming it is a man, because Kingdom Hearts is full of men and not enough women. I'll have to cut that out. If this person in the blue robe, they took Xehanort from his mother in Scala Kylum, which is weird, right? Why is Baby Nort being taken to the islands? Is this person a Keyblade wielder? If he lived in Scala, he probably was. Why is Xehanort being taken? Right? So I have a theory. I posted it on Twitter, but this is running under the assumption that Brain is Ericus's grandfather. That is mentioned in Dark Road, meaning that Brain appeared in Scala Kylum, had a family, and then there was young Ericus, as that's what happens with families. They reproduce. people reproduce. Oh my god. So running under the assumption that the timeline is that Brain appears, and by the time he's old, he's Ericus's grandfather, right? But it appears that Brain has passed by the time we actually see things in Dark Road. That would probably make this older person in the robe around probably the same age as Brain, and I'm going off of this solely over the fact that I think this is Sigurd from the end of Union Cross, because I have to bring up Sigurd because Sigurd is the voice in not only in Missing Link, but is the voice in Kingdom Hearts 4, confirmed by the fucking secret message left by Nomura. So assuming that Brain and Sigurd, there's a lot of assumptions here. This is a fucking whack-ass theory pulled way out of my own ass. Don't take any of this shit seriously. I'm just rambling. Assuming that Sigurd and Brain are the same age, they would probably be old by the time Ericus and Xehanort are born. Assuming that Ericus and Xehanort are around the same age. I believe Xehanort is supposed to be like a couple years older than Ericus. So this person, who probably wasn't super old by the time that Xehanort is a baby, by the time he's a teenager, he's a lot older and of course close to dying. So why does Sigurd in particular take Baby Nort to the islands? Now, if Sigurd is this person, and is the person in the black robe next to the Master of Masters in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, then that means that the Master of Masters probably ordered Sigurd to take young Xehanort away. Again, this is all just wild fucking speculation. There is no concrete evidence that Sigurd is the guy in the black coat next to the Master of Masters, or that Sigurd and Brain are the same age, or this person in the robe is Sigurd. I'm just going off of what I think is going on here. Now, Damo, he kind of like gave like a more benevolent interpretation that maybe this person was protecting baby Nort from his future self. I don't think that's what's going on at all. I think that Sigurd and the Master of Masters working together, whether Sigurd is working under the Master, which I wouldn't be surprised, under the Master's orders, takes baby Xehanort to isolate him from fucking everyone, grows up incredibly isolated and alone, without a Keyblade, takes him to Destiny Islands, and then when he dies, he goes to Quadratum. Or maybe he's not fully dead here, he just disappears from the world. Either way, he's fucking Stardust, and he's in Quadratum now. So at this moment in time, young Xehanort is old enough to survive going through a corridor of darkness to head to Skull-Eyed Kylan, where he can formally be trained to become a Keyblade Master. Now, why the Master of Masters would do all this is probably the same reason why the Master of Masters showed up right before Xehanort's Mark of Mastery exam. Which, mind you, we don't fucking know how the Master of Masters got to the future and then also got to unreality. Like, how's this man keep going in and out of reality at every whim? I'm terrified. I think that in the same vein that the Master of Masters very obviously stroked Xehanort's ego, and essentially manipulated Xehanort. Not really manipulated, more of just, again, just stroked his darker tendencies so that Xehanort would follow his dark whim to ally himself with the darkness, eventually forge the Keyblade, and actually try to bring a balance to the realm of light, because he feels like there's a tyranny of light, right? That's what Xehanort wanted to do. He went about it really shittily, because he decided to destroy everything, which is not a solution. Genocide's not a solution. So I think that the same reason that the Master of Masters was there in that moment where young Xehanort was like, I need to do something, I don't know what to do, and Master Xehanort's like, you already know what you need to do, man, right? He's already like, you already know what you need to do. It sounds like you already need to go where you're going. That all falls. Why would the Master of Masters do that unless that benefits him in the long run, right? So if this person in the robe is Sigurd and he is working with the Master of Masters, that means the Master of Masters purposefully isolated Xehanort so that he could grow up in this isolated state, suddenly get thrust with into a world of Keyblade wielders, learn more about it with all these friends and all these things, right? Lose them because they all die. And basically leads Xehanort along this dark road where he eventually comes to the decision that he needs to forge the Keyblade. What the Master of Masters gains from the forging of the Keyblade, I have no fucking clue. It is apparently beneficial to the foretellers, and according to the secret reports written by Lushu, like, the forging of the Keyblade and the opening of Kingdom Hearts appears to be what kind of the Master of Masters is aiming towards. And when that happens, the foretellers return and they all meet up. Whether this has to do with defeating the 7 darknesses that are hidden within the foretellers or whatever, I have no clue. But I don't feel like this is somebody protecting Xehanort. I feel like it's somebody who is working with the Master to manipulate Xehanort. Now, I do have an idea about what I think the actual endgame for the Master of Masters is, and because I feel it's incredibly ironic that, and I think this is fitting, this is why I think that this is Sigurd manipulating Xehanort, and in the Master of Masters manipulating Xehanort, because I don't think that, I think it's incredibly ironic for Master Xehanort to be manipulated and led his whole life through his destiny that he thought he had control over. A destiny that involved fucking the other destinies of everybody else, right? Like, Xehanort's got so much pride, which, you know, the missing sin that we have of the foretellers is pride. So, like, Xehanort's got all this pride in being able to, like, be a master manipulator and organize everything, so basically the 7 lights of the 13 darknesses had to clash, right? He's so proud of that. How wonderful it is. It would have been, honestly, I wish Xehanort was alive for this. How wonderful it would have been for Xehanort to realize that he was the one being manipulated the whole damn time. I just think that's beautiful irony, and I love it. But the thing is that I also think that the Master was not trying to get to Xehanort. Xehanort was not his endgame. I think that the Master of Masters was trying to get a particular person into unreality. And yes, I am talking about Sora. So, I don't want to say this is my extension of Sora being the Master of Masters. But I'm kind of saying that. I'm sorry for those of you that hate this theory. I hate it too. I'm starting to hate it. I feel bad that every single piece of evidence, that every single just small thing I take as part of this theory, because, like, I think the same thing about Strelitzia in Kingdom Hearts 4. I don't think she's Strelitzia. I think she's Data Strelitzia. And manipulating Sora, and that's so sad because I don't want that. But I think that the Master of Masters had to go in this roundabout way of manipulating Xehanort so that Xehanort would manipulate all the people in Sora's life, so that Sora would eventually misuse the power of waking and get himself yeeted into Quadratum. And whether, like, what that does for the Master of Masters, I have no idea, unless Sora is the Master of Masters and he's just trying to consolidate his identity back into one piece or whatever the fuck, or get Sora as a vessel so he can probably return to reality or whatever. Or, like, if Sora is, like, the rightful wielder of No Name, because Xehanort gave him the Keyblade at the end of the game, presumably without passing the power to Xigbar, right? This could just be a roundabout way of getting that Keyblade back, right? Who the fuck knows? I don't. I don't. It's driving me nuts. And I love this series and I hate it at the same time. But, so, that's that part of the theory, that Sigurd and the Master of Masters are manipulating Xehanort throughout his whole life, and Sigurd's the guy in the blue robe. But I want to go back to the fact that the presumption that Destiny Islands is uninhabited. Well, I'm curious as to where all the people come from. If it's, I can't remember the exact, like, description in Dark Road, if they're originally written there as the Book of Prophecies, and they just eventually slowly return after the Keyblade War. But the thing is that Scala ad Kylum is also missing people by the time Xehanort is old enough to go to Scala ad Kylum. Where the fuck did those people go? Like, Ericus flat out says that there's only, like, one, like, island floating in Scala that's populated. Everybody else is just gone. Where did they all go? Were they all dead? Did they all just move somewhere else amongst the worlds? Like, it seems that after a certain amount of time, some Keyblade wielders will leave Scala and maybe, like, control different worlds, like the Land of Departure, or maybe some of them are involved in Twilight Town Mansion construction. But I'm curious, if Destiny Islands is unpopulated, How did it get its population, and where did the people of Scala and Kylum go? And I think the only thing I can think of, and it doesn't quite make sense because it doesn't add up, but what if the people that leave Scala end up in Destiny Islands? What if Destiny Islands is populated by old Keyblade wielders? And that would be incredibly interesting, given that Destiny Islands is the home of 4 Keyblade wielders. Like, yes, I know Kyrie's originally not from the islands, and neither is Xehanort, but you have 4 Keyblade wielders who called this place home once upon a time. That can't be a fucking coincidence. I'm well aware that, like, that Terra and Aqua, they came there and like they were guided by light and stuff, and Riku got his Keyblade from Terra, but like why is there a keyhole? Like, obviously visible. Well, I know why, because Riku's the Keyblade Buster. But I'm saying it's like, where did the people come from? Like, I just want to know if they're where did they come from if they weren't already there when Xehanort was a baby? I don't think it's a huge coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Destiny Islands has 4 Keyblade wielders living on it. Well, not obviously right now, but it's just kind of interesting. It's like, also, why is it called Destiny Islands? Or wait, it's Disney's land, I know, but I know I'm rambling. But it's just kind of interesting to think about. Like, where did these people go? Where did these people come from? And why does Toddler-Xehanort have Riku's hair? I'm scared. Between Toddler-Xehanort having Riku's haircut and some of the missing link cutscenes showing specifically Xehanort and Riku and only them, I'm worried that they're actually gonna try to make a connection, like a familial connection between Xehanort and Riku, and I'm not about it. I really don't want it. I don't want it. The greatest thing about not having these familial connections, and I'm gonna get upset about Star Wars for a minute. Making Rey a Palpatine is so fucking stupid, because Rey had the opportunity to be to be the person that breaks the cycle, because she was not familially connected to anyone in this fucking story. If she wasn't a Skywalker, but only like symbolically a Skywalker, that's fine. I don't mind that. But it's like, it's Rey's great because she understands that the Force is neutral, and that there is light and darkness not only in the Force but in all things. And it was great to kind of see her and Kylo Ren like weave in and out of the light and darkness of the Force, but still end up in their dichotomies towards the end because of who they really were. But then they're like, okay, yeah, all that deep character development, no, Rey's a Palpatine, it's like being evil's in her blood, and she has to fight off that blood. And it's just like, fucking no. Like, and if they do this with Xehanort and Riku, I'm gonna be upset, because, like, Riku and Xehanort being the parallels that they are in the very beginning of both being, like, tired of living on this island world where they view it as a prison, and Xehanort eventually sinking down into the depths of darkness, never returning, and fucking dying at the end, losing and dying at the end, because he was a stubborn bastard who didn't realize that he could do more to save the world as it is now than fucking rewrite everything. Riku is that perfect example of what Xehanort was trying to go towards, light and darkness working together in balance, which is fascinating, what Xehanort created through his meddling. Not only did he create his perfect idea of light and darkness through Riku, through his meddling, but he also created the person that would destroy him, Sora, because he never expected Sora to be as powerful as he was, when Xehanort is the reason Xehanort unknowingly made Sora as powerful as he was, because he put Sora through so much shit, and by the time he realized it, he's like, oh fuck, I need to have this guy as my vessel. Let's try that. Yeah, that's great. So, to tie Riku and Xehanort familially, I feel like it's gonna bring up the Rey Palpatine problem, where Riku, of course, was going to struggle with the darkness within him because he's related to Xehanort. It's in the family, it's in the blood. It's like, please no, please no. Yes, there are definitely, like, and I don't want to, like, dismiss anybody who has to deal with inherited struggles, because I have to deal with inherited struggles. I will never drink. I'm not gonna do any of that shit, because technically my body's got the gene in it. That's like a thing. And the thing is that darkness can definitely be seen as an analogy to addiction in this series. Like, literally, Kingdom Hearts 3, Riku describes darkness as a rush. That's like straight up something an addict says. So, like, I'm not here to discount that, like, oh, just because you have to deal with inherited trauma and inherited addictions, that makes your struggle and your triumph over it less than what it would be. What I'm saying is that I feel like if they familially tie Xehanort and Riku, it's going to lessen the depth that has been created throughout the series, that has been built up over the last 20 years. And the reason why I feel like it would lessen it is because Xehanort is not alive anymore. Xehanort is fucking dead. And you had all of this time to actually connect Xehanort and Riku familially, and maybe give them time to talk with each other. Like in Kingdom Hearts 3, for example. Why didn't you do that if you were going to make this connection? And I realized that none of this is all planned out way ahead of time. It's the whole, why didn't we see Ven's heart pop out of Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1 problem, right? But I just... Dark Road was conceptualized. It was a thing. I know for a fact it was the thing, because Nomura thinks about this shit, like, way in advance. But, like, maybe it wasn't thought of far in advance, but there was so much time to connect Riku and Xehanort familially and tie it within the Dark Seeker saga. And if they decide to tie them familially, it just feels like a wasted opportunity and potentially lessens Riku's, like, triumph, because it just is like, oh, well, of course you were gonna, like, fall into this because it's in your blood. I don't know. If it happens to get brought up, that is how they do it, and then gets brought up in a future KH game, and Riku's like, huh, and moves on, I'm actually fine with that. But I don't know. I'm just worried that I'm just worried that Toddler-Xehanort is Riku's fucking hair. Why? Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Yeah, so that's me. That's nearly 30 minutes of me doing this. I'm gonna get the Coded Castle Oblivion video done this week. I'm sorry, I haven't done it. I've been sad. See y'all August 26th.